This one's in the
What is up, guys? It's Wire Guitars back here again with another replay commentary. This time I'm going to be showing you guys how to dominate the offlane with Dark Seer, and hopefully we can do this at a somewhat expedient pace because I don't want to just spend the entire hour or however long we're going to be making this video looking at a blank screen. So I do want to explain a few things. With that being said, I do want to explain a few things before we get into this. Every game of Dota begins in the picking stage, and this game is no exception. I picked Dark Seer here because I knew that Dark Seer is a hero that can lane against Lich. Lich is a tough hero to lane against. He has very high base movement speed, so he's able to get in range. He's ranged hero, and he has very high base movement speed, so he's able to kite in and out of the lane and harass you with his right clicks. And it's that plus a combination of how good Frostblast is at trading that make Lich the powerful, the potent lane support that he is. Right, that he's able to just walk out, Q you, like use his Q spell on you, slow your attack speed, deal a bit of damage, and then just get a bunch of right clicks on you. He has fair base damage as well. He's got 55 or 54 base damage with this Fairy Fire. And yeah, it just applies a crap ton of pressure. Actually, it's 295 move speed. Is that right? I thought Lich used to have 315. I guess they nerfed that. But either way, the fact that he has a slow and that he himself is a ranged hero that has pretty decent range, if I recall correctly, it's 550. Yeah, amount to a hero that is able to kite the crap out of any melee hero that he trades with. And he still trades decently well with ranged heroes because, of course, he has the attack speed slow portion of his Q, which lasts for 4 seconds. So Lich is a hero pretty formidable in lane, pretty scary in a lot of situations. So my pick has to be sort of like the pick that I make when I pick Dark Seer into lanes like this. It's acknowledging that Lich is a scary hero to pick into if it's Lich paired with like a Juggernaut, or Lich paired with like a Monkey King or a Slark. Another carry that's strong, and suddenly you can have a very bad time if you're not careful with your pick. So I pick a hero like Dark Seer here because I know that Dark Seer can get farm without necessarily needing to approach the creep wave, and that he can disrupt the creep equilibrium in the same fashion. He doesn't need to approach the creep wave to disrupt the creep wave equilibrium. He could just put 2 ion shells on creeps, and that will naturally push the wave out, especially against a hero like Phantom Lancer who can't naturally push the wave out that quickly, at least in the early game. And you pretty much have a recipe here to just, shit on the enemy's ability to apply any pressure with that Lich pick. And so here we're going to fight for the bounty rune here. I do end up getting it, but I lose a crap ton of HP. It's 40 gold for a bounty rune, so it's half a set of tangos, but I'm going to certainly be using all of my tangos to heal up from this engagement. So it's not worth it from a gold perspective for me specifically, but for my team it is, because of course I just got everybody else on the team 40 gold. That amounts to 160 gold in total for them, that they, at 40 times 4, I just gained my team 160 worth of gold. The 40 gold that I got for myself is going to be used exclusively on regen, because obviously I just have to eat through all my tangos now. So it's not worth it for me. It's worth it for my team. I'll make that team play. And then here we go. You guys get to see just bog standard Dark Seer laning, right? Very first creep wave, put 2 ion shells on a creep, or put 2 ion shells on the creep wave, and that lane is pushing. And try to get as many last hits as you possibly can. When the creep wave is pushed out, the enemy carry will be under the tower, and this will naturally lead you into situations like this where you can 2v1 the enemy support because the carry has to last hit under tower. I'm fortunate that this Lich overextended as far as he did and stood near trees, and so we're actually able to just run him down here despite the fact that he has a Fairy Fire with our Ion Shell and the Hoodwink's W and my high base damage, I should say, because Dark Seer has 60 base damage. And then we hit level 2, and many people think, oh, you gotta take Surge on Dark Seer level 2 every time. No. Vacuum is a very powerful 1-point wonder. In the early game, it does 100 damage in an AoE. It pulls people, and it only costs 60 mana. The most restrictive aspect of this ability is the cooldown, but that doesn't matter when you're using it once to get a kill. And that's kind of what it feels like. It's like an ultimate ability that you use in the early game. You can use it once every 2 creep waves. Right there is perfect. We get a kill on the PL because he overextends. Probably didn't expect me to get vacuum at level 2. And we just pull his ass close and throw a bunch of right clicks and use Ion Shell to burn him down. And there's an easy double kill in the first 2 minutes of the game. Easy pie. So we are finally able to get the salve that we had on our courier, salve ourselves up. We're sitting a little bit low on regen now, obviously, given the fact that we have literally only 1 mango for our health regen, our health to solve our health regen issues, and that's obviously not enough. So we get our bottle, or with the kill goal that we got, our courier is going to be bringing it. We identified that they block the hard camp, probably because they realized that Dark Seer naturally pushes the wave, and that one of the things that Dark Seer likes to do is when he pushes the wave, he goes and grabs the hard camp and pulls it. So they block that camp accordingly. So I tell my Hoodwink, and I'm like, hey, by a sentry we can deward their hard camp, and That's what they're going to do. Here, because I am level 3, I'm not level 4, I guess. Because I'm not level 4, I can't kill the PL, I can't surge forward and kill him. But we did a crap ton of damage to him, which is pretty much all you need to do. And here I actually end up making a mistake. I Ion Shell the creep wave there, hoping that I can help my Hoodwink out with the Lich Harass, but it becomes evident that the Lich doesn't, or the Hoodwink doesn't want to sit there and trade with a creep wave hitting her in addition to the Lich. So I should have just Ion Shelled the neutral creep camp there to kill the stack. That would have been a lot more farm, and it would have helped also manage what the Lich is doing, which means I would have killed that neutral creep camp stack. I could have even have pulled their creep wave into the neutral creep camp. Like I could have pulled for the Lich essentially, but gotten more farm because I would have had Ion Shells to be able to clear the wave. Instead, or the wave and the camp. Instead, I just pulled the wave away, took the deny EXP on the range creep that the Lich pulled, and that easy camp is still there for the Lich to pull again. So unfortunate that we weren't able to fully connect there. But it's all good. We're still going to be going back to what we were doing, which is pushing in this creep wave, harassing the PL. Here I'm just going to be sitting under the tower, following him with Ion Shells. Unfortunately, I take tower aggro here, and I'm not entirely sure why. I think I accidentally right-clicked the PL. I didn't mean to right-click the PL. I was only using my move command. And if you didn't know, in Dota, there's a move command where your hero only follows or moves to the location that you choose to set them to. And the move command hotkey should be somewhere here. I don't know. I have mine set to X. Here it is, move X. If you only move command, you don't actually right-click the enemy hero. The tower shouldn't aggro you because you're not inputting a right-click. You're just inputting a move command. Unfortunately, that's not what ended up happening, and I end up taking like 3 tower shots here, and the Lich shows up for a surprise Q. This ends up working into our favor because I get a sick vacuum off, and then we get a double kill because the Hoodwink combines my vacuum with a very well-timed, what's this ability called? Bushwhack. But that all combines into another double kill for us. But that was quite fortunate. I'm quite fortunate that PL is as weak of a laner as he is against Dark Seer, and that the Hoodwink was there in a timely fashion to be able to enable us to get those kills. And so with this bottle, again, it's 4 minutes, and I just took a bunch of damage under tower, and I have no mana, such that I'm just like, okay, well, I guess I'll just go try to get a rune here. I am very, very lucky here, make no mistake. So I go check the top rune, and guess what I find? I find a goddamn regen rune. So I'm just sitting super good here. We got 3 kills under our belt, 1 assist. I'm fed, I'm fat. I just got a regen rune. I'm healing all the way up. I gotta walk back to lane using Surge, using Ion Shell. My mana is still kicking in. I gotta put Ion Shell on my Hoodwink here for free because I have this regen rune kicking. I tell her about that. I'm like, hey, I have Ion Shell on you, so if you just sit next to the PL, we're gonna burn him down. And that's exactly what she does. Fortunately for PL, he has doppelganger skilled, so he will be able to just run away there. Now the Hoodwink's getting low, and I don't have Ion Shell on me because I put it on a creep, and so I'm just following the Lich down with right clicks here. I have a 5-charge stick. I have my infused raindrop. We're just hitting the PL. I pop my raindrop comes off cooldown just at the right time, and then I pop my stick, and so I'm totally fine. I'm bottling up here. Storm isn't showing on the map, and Zeus keeps telling me that, and so I'm like, maybe I shouldn't chase this Lich down. So instead I back off. Now both Hoodwink and I are very low. And I'm like, well, I have a bottle, so assuming the Storm isn't here, we can just get 2 bottled runes here. I can heal you up. Storm was there, though. Turns out he walked over to this camp, this hard camp, farmed it, took our bounty rune, and then TP'd back mid instead of coming top to assist with those kills. I don't know why he did that, because he definitely had level 6 too, but either way, I do end up getting one of the runes, so that means I'm totally fine. I'm in a perfect situation to just stay in this lane. I'm getting my Arcane Boots going. I should actually explain this a little bit. On Dark Seer, to dominate the lane, you pretty much want to stock up on as much regen as possible. I'd say stick is optional, but typically your hero wants to be involved in fights. In at least the mid game, sometimes early game, depending on how many stuns your team has available to them. And the reason I say that is because Dark Seer himself can't really set up for ganks all that well. Vacuum is a pretty strong ability, but early game it's just not that wide. It's not, the radius isn't that big, and of course it's a very, very short stun that you have. You can pull people out of position, you can pull them out of tower range and whatnot, but it's not like a point and click 2-second stun like a hero like Sand King has access to. So you're not that great at like TPing into a lane and turning a fight under tower. You can do that, of course, on Dark Seer, but and especially you're not that good at setting up ganks. Like you're not that good at TPing into a lane, popping a smoke, and then walking behind your tower and trying to wrap around on the enemy. And the reason I point that out is because The reason I point this out is to essentially elucidate the fact that Dark Seer doesn't rotate all that well. So you kind of just want to sit in lane, spam ion shells on creeps as much as possible, and just get really, really farmed. And the way that you do that, the way that you itemize to do that, is you just buy a bunch of mana regen. You buy things like Bottle. You buy things like mangoes. You buy things like infused raindrops. Now, infused raindrops are especially good because they increase your survivability. It's just a good item in general, especially against a hero like Lich. But it's also good on Dark Seer because you can make a lot of use out of that mana regen. And so here we're going in for another kill on the Lich. Lich does have Frost Armor up, which is a pretty powerful ability because it reduces the amount of damage that he's taking. But either way, so yeah, the principle that I was just expressing is, again, you just want to sit in a lane, get super, super fat, and typically that's going to be the offlane. Getting super fat in terms of levels and farm. And Dark Seer has the tools necessary to do that. We are having a good lane, so I'm able to just sit in this lane the entire time and apply massive amounts of pressure to the PL and the Lich. There are going to be Dark Seer lanes that, I mean, especially if you're picking the hero, you're probably picking the hero because there are lanes that you don't want to interact with, and some of those lanes include, again, like Slark or Slark, or I think I mentioned this earlier, but in case I didn't, there's some really hard lanes that Dark Seer can deal with, and those lanes are like Ursa's sometimes. I mean, you have Surge for Ursa, but Ursa can always contest your creeps. I should pause here while we're going for this play. Ursa's, Monkey Kings, Juggernauts, these heroes that are just traditionally strong carries that don't screw around. They go into a lane and just poke you down. Heroes like Drow Ranger or Weaver are heroes that can basically hit your Ion Shelled creep out of range from the creep itself, so they don't need to worry about taking Ion Shell damage. And once those heroes get a few levels under their belt, they're pretty well equipped at actually killing the creep before you're able to farm with it. So what I just listed off was a list of carries that do fairly well against you as a hero in lane. And so in those lanes, especially in lanes like again, like to go back to the Slarks and the Juggernauts, especially Slark, who's a hero that can reliably lock you down, in those kinds of lanes, oftentimes you just want to put 2 shells on a creep and then walk over to your triangle. And if it's early enough, of course, your carry is not going to be wanting to farm the triangle, and you just want to sit there and farm. In this game, this replay that we're looking at, you're seeing I'm going 4-0-1, like I'm just dominating this lane and I'm able to apply a lot of pressure, and this is the ideal situation. You want to be in lanes like this, actively applying pressure. But if you can't do this, or if doing this is too dangerous, I should say, then you have no problem just putting 2 Ion Shells on creeps in your creep wave, in your adjacent creep lane, in your adjacent lane's creep wave, and just going into the jungle, stacking camps and farming. So I just wanted to mention that because, and hopefully I do get the opportunity to do a replay analysis of a game like that. But in case I don't, in case this is the only video that you ever watch of mine, the only Dark Seer video that you ever watch of mine, I just wanted to make it known that what I'm doing in this game is not what you necessarily should be doing every game as Dark Seer. There are going to be lanes where you cannot contest them, and in those lanes, it's important to have a contingency plan. And the contingency plan is what I just mentioned, which is, again, just farming in the jungle after applying, applying works too, but after putting your Ion Shell on creeps. And so here, I could back up a little bit here. I should go back a little bit here. Here we are identifying the Storm came over, Hoodwink escaped the Storm gank there, and then Storm curiously just TPs back to base instantly after killing that Heart Cramp. And so since we see him leave, and of course the PL is super low on HP, I'm just like, okay, screw it. I'm going to get my ulti at level 6. Your ulti's very powerful as Dark Seer. Don't underestimate it, even at level 6. It does cost a fair amount of mana, and it does do 0 damage, technically, by itself. Like, the ability doesn't do a damage. It used to do damage. Now it doesn't do damage. But what it does do is it creates an illusion that does do damage, like a little bit of damage. Early game, it's 70% of the hero's right-click damage. Typically, that's not going to be that much damage. But in PL's case, PL is a hero that has abilities that work with illusions very well. This is another reason why Dark Seer is so good against PL, is PL has a passive ability called Phantom Rush. Phantom Rush applies to his illusions, and Phantom Rush gives him a bunch of bonus, him and his illusions, a bunch of bonus agility. And so even though your illusion is only doing 70% damage to PL, if I pop a wall down and that PL illusion runs to the PL, it's going to get 33 bonus agility at this moment in time and do a crap ton of damage to the PL. Furthermore, the PL illusion is an illusion. It's a unit that you control that you can use your other spells on. You can use Ion Shell, you can use Surge on those illusions. So we drop the wall, and then the last thing is, of course, the very, very powerful slow. Rank 1, it's only 50%, which is still pretty powerful, especially for something that's constant. Until they leave the wall, they are constantly being applied this slow, and then once they do leave the radius of the wall, they still are affected by that slow for 1 second. So it's very debilitating. It forces him to use Doppelganger early there. But then again, the real power of that is, in addition to the slow, the fact that it creates an illusion that I can play with. Of course, PL in that situation was too low of HP for the illusion to sufficiently be utilized 4. Like, you can 100 to 0 people with Dark Seer. If you put the wall in the right spot, apply Ion Shell to it while you already have an Ion Shell on yourself, and then just surge yourself next to the person and then just walk them down with your 2 illusions. You can seriously do that. I've done that so many times on this hero. And the only reason I mention that is because you didn't see it just happen, but just know that you can do that. The Dark Seer does have the potential to be a menace at level 6. He is a hero that is deceptively strong in lane and, early on in lane and later on in lane when he hits level 6. A lot of heroes, they don't really come online until level 6 in their lane phase. And Dark Seer isn't necessarily that, but when he does hit level 6, he does have a power spike that you should know about if you plan to play Dark Seer, because many people don't. Many people miss a lot of the kill opportunities that they could have with Dark Seer. And again, it kind of further creates this stigma that people have against Dark Seer, where they think, man, Dark Seer, what a weak hero. Weak hero in lane, you're just giving the enemy carry free farm. And it's like, no, Dark Seer really isn't that. He doesn't want to lose the lane. He doesn't want to forfeit the lane. He wants to win the lane. He has tools available to him to win the lane. And a lot of it comes down to skilling vacuum at level 2 in key situations. Of course, know that you shouldn't always do that. You shouldn't autopilot it. But that there are a lot of situations as Dark Seer where you can very, very legitimately justify skilling vacuum at level 2. Maybe at level 4, or certainly at least at level 4. Having this at least at one point, I think, is correct. If nothing else, just to secure range creeps, because again, it's a 100 damage ability, has a pretty fair cast range to it at level 1, and it only costs 60 mana. But more so than that, more so than just, once every 2 creep waves securing range creeps, you should be using this ability to set up with your hoodwink, or with your Nyx Assassin, or with your Clockworks, or with your Spirit Breakers. These heroes, these 4 positions that just want to get in range of people. Well, Vacuum, even at level 1, has enough of a radius to where you can very meaningfully displace somebody and create kill opportunities with it. And so, sorry, I'm going on a bit of a rant here about Vacuum. I just want to stress that, like, if nothing else, again, this ability puts the enemy carry it displaces them, it's pretty decent displace, deals 100 flat damage, puts them in range for you to Ion Shell them down. Like, it's just a strong ability, and you should definitely not you should not look at this ability as like it's only good mid game, skip it until you have wall, or skip it until level 11 or something like that. Like, no. Vacuum's a good ability. Typically you want to be in a position where you can level this at level 3 or level 2 rather. You want to be in a situation as Dark Seer where you're like, yes, I get to skill Vacuum in this lane early on because this ability gives you kills. It's deceptive how powerful it is. Okay, yeah, so that rant over about ranting about why you should take Vacuum early and ranting about why you should take Wall of Replica at level 6 over. We'll continue on with this replay. So we thoroughly smashed that lane. I'm 5-0 right now. I am over 50% of my team's kills. I am leading the charts on net worth rate. This is the dream Dark Seer game. Not many Dark Seers conceive of a game where you get to smash the offlane as hard as we just did. But we did it. And so how do you transition, right? How do you turn that lead into an advantage on a hero like Dark Seer, you may wonder? Well, here's how you do it. First of all, you never stop farming, right? You are not a hero, as we mentioned earlier, who assists ganks really well. You're not that. You don't like to TP around to lanes. Of course, I'm going to do it here, but you're not a huge fan of TPing to another lane to go fight unless you have a really good reason for it. And I would dare say in this situation, I don't have a very good reason for it. I have an okay reason. The first reason is that I told my Jug about a minute ago. I said, Jug, if you want to TP top and farm, you totally can, because he was having a hard lane bottom, right? He's I think he did, right? He's 2-3 right now. And it could be better, right? My Jug's not having the best game, so I'm like, hey Jug, if you want to take this lane over, it's free, right? You can just farm this lane, push it out, and then take these 2 camps and go back to the triangle. That's a perfectly logical, or rather normal carry farming rotation. I tell him like, hey, you can do that totally fine. I'll go farm bottom or mid or wherever. That's the first reason why this is okay. And the second reason why this is okay is because I think, at the very least, if nothing else, I have the potential to go mid and push this wave out and apply pressure to this tower. So we TP mid, I come over here, I get a 2-man wall off, right? I'm mostly going for the Lich here, but if we get the Storm, that's nice. I pull him back, right? This is why Vacuum and Wall, even at level 1, of only both of these abilities, so good together. It's because you pop the wall down, you get that initial slow, and then you hit them with a max range Vacuum back into the wall. They get slowed again for another 50% for 1 second. A little bit longer than 1 second, because you're going to pull them into the epicenter of the wall, so they're going to be slowed for a little bit longer than just 1 second, because again, the slow constantly reapplies itself unless you get out of the range of it. And then hopefully that's enough slow and enough time for your Ion Shell to be applied And your right clicks too, because Dark Seer has a respectable base damage and main stat growth. He has 3.1 intelligence growth per second. That's his main stat, and he starts with like 50, 60, or 57 base damage or something. Like, it's pretty respectable, such that, you know, hopefully that's enough for you to just run people down. And so in that situation, we get the Lich kill. Totally fine with the support kill for my ulti. I mean, after all, it is only 100 seconds. I shouldn't say only 100 seconds. That's a pretty long cooldown. But if I'm getting kills with it, even if it's only on a support, I'm totally content with that. And so we do that, you know, we TP mid, we get those kills, and then straight back to farming. I don't have wall now, I don't have vacuum now. These are my two big cooldown abilities for being able to pick up fights. So if I don't have them up, no sense in me trying to fight if I don't have my fighting abilities up, right? So we just go back to farming. And again, I want to stress, this hero loves farming. You just love to be fat on Dark Seer. You just love to rice creeps, man. Like Ion Shell level 7, that shit just kills creep camps. It kills creep waves. And it's what you have nothing better to do with your time anyways, right? Because again, without those two big cooldown abilities, you have very little kill potential. Even with them, with both of these abilities. If Vacuum isn't maxed out and it's mid-game, like, heroes are going to be quick enough, typically, to get away from the combination of Vacuum level 1 or level 2 and Wall of Replica. It's only when Vacuum gets maxed out and you get the talent where your range to just pull somebody into a max range wall gets really, really powerful. So I'm going to sit here and farm these stacks that this Ogre made. You could argue that I should leave these for my Jug, but my Jug is having a very good time just farming these two camps in the lane on rotation. And it's more important that we get our jungle items. You might see this game. You may have noticed this game. I've actually farmed up all of our team's jungle items. It's just important that at 7 minutes you have somebody that's able to farm those jungle items. So I take those stacks off my Jug's hands. He's not even really close to his Battle Fairy yet, so he doesn't really mind. And here I'm just going to tank a bit of a, I shouldn't say a gank, but I'm going to tank a bit of pressure here. The offlane Snapfire and the Dark Willow are going to use both of their ultimates on me, right? The Mortimer's Kisses or whatever, and the Bedlam plus the Terrorize are going to be used on me. And in addition to that, we get 2 kills. We get to take both of their ultimates, right? For my ultimate, we get to kill both of them, and I go down because they have to overcommit on me because I already have this Hood of Defiance. I want to talk about Hood of Defiance for a second because I didn't get the chance to talk about it. As Dark Seer, when you notice you're having a good game, or if you notice you're having a bad game, you should always try to itemize towards your team. I've seen Dark Seers fuck around with like Hood of Defiance, or not Hood of Defiance, Helm of the Dominator because they want to creep. That's high movement speed that they can use Shell on, right? And I've thought about messing around with that. I've even messed around with it a little bit myself. I've also seen Dark Seers go Midas because they apply that principle that I was talking about of like, you want to be fat. They apply it too hard. And even I've gone Midas in some games because my team doesn't want to group. Midas can be okay if your team really is just like not about grouping in the mid game. But typically speaking, the ideal Dark Seer game that I envision in my mind when I pick this hero are those games where like I have an Undying 5, right? And it's like my team seems to lack a lot of stuns because we have a Dark Seer and an Undying. But it's okay because our Death Ball is perfect, right? It's like I get to build a pipe, he can build a mech, or he can build Greaves, and we could just go 5-man towers because our team fight is amazing, right? Because we have a Tombstone, we got Vacuum Wall, we've got all of these big team fight abilities. We can just go Death Ball a tower and just go push. Those are the perfect Dark Seer games. And what makes sense if you have a bunch of heroes that are like that play together in a cohesive death ball, like a well-oiled machine, what you want is is items to reflect that. And so the items that you don't want are items like Midas, you know, items that don't really assist a push or a death ball strat whatsoever. Instead, you'd prefer to have like a pipe, right? Something that keeps your creep wave alive, so that when you're pushing, you can actually kill the tower with your creeps. Because, you know, if creeps aren't alive, you can't hit towers, they get backdoor protection, then suddenly you're tanking tier 2 towers. And I don't know if you knew this, I've done videos on this before, but I'll just do it again. Tier 2 towers hit a lot harder than tier 1 towers. Notice, this is a tier 2 tower. This is the, as you can see, Dire's tier 2 does 172, Dire's tier 1 does 90. So tanking tier 2 towers at 12-15 minutes in the game is not ideal. And if you're pushing a tier 2 tower, you need your creep waves to do it, otherwise you're just going to be taking 172 damage. So build team fight items, build items like Pipe, build items like Mech. I know that there's a new item that came out that builds out of Hood of Defiance. I think it's called Eternal Shroud or some shit. Fuck that item, dude. Why do I say fuck that item? 2 big reasons. One, I don't know why, but I I shouldn't say I don't know why. I feel like the math does not add up for this item. It costs a little bit less mana. It costs half the mana that pipe does, and that's cool. But for that, and it costs like 700 or no, it costs 200 less gold. So for 200 less gold and for 50 less mana, you get an item that gives you less magic resistance, like 20% less magic resistance, because pipe gives 30% plus the insight ore gives you 40%. This item gives you 20%, right? It does give you a little bit of, not a little bit, it gives you spell life steal to sort of offset that, I guess, and make you tankier in that sense, but I don't think that's worth it at all, right? It gives you the pipe active, like the hood active is 325, the pipe active is 400. It does give you the pipe active, but only for yourself. And then the damage that you take gets converted into mana instead of just like being a big barrier shield. I don't know. Eternal Shroud, I haven't played around with it enough. But all I can really say about it, outside of the fact that I don't have that much experience with it, is that it's not as much of a team fight item as pipe is. I'm gonna say that concretely, right? The fact that the shield gives you mana and the fact that you get spell lifesteal, that's cool. Those are nice perks. But the reason why you used to buy pipe on Dark Seer, and the reason why I think you'll still continue to buy pipe over this Eternal Shroud item on Dark Seer, is because pipe gives your team and your creep wave a big shield that enables them to push. Eternal Shroud does not do that. Eternal Shroud is a very selfish item, which really only matters if you're getting focused, and even then it doesn't, because it only converts the damage into mana, not health. So it doesn't make you tankier, it just allows you to cast more spells. But if you're getting focused, you're probably getting stunned, and you're not a hero that converts mana into into survivability whatsoever. Like, you're not like a Storm Spirit or a Timber Saw, right? With a Bloodstone. Like, you just can't. I don't know. Eternal Shroud seems like the kind of Timber Saw or Storm Spirit item, the kind of spell item that like you want to build with a Bloodstone user. Darkseer's not really a Bloodstone user. I think this item is a trap. I'm just gonna leave it at that. Continue to buy pipe on this hero, because again, your theme is building teamfight items to try to group with your team and push. And you don't need to push. Darkseer's an amazing late game hero, and we can talk about that later. But you want to be able to push because these are just items that, naturally speaking, like Darkseer wants to build. You want to facilitate your team's ability to teamfight, because your hero does that way better than he does solo pickoff. Excuse me. Darkseer is not the kind of hero that wants to buy like Blink and Hex. I mean, you can build those items, but like Hex is a very expensive item, and it's your only catch that you'll ever have on this hero, because you don't have a stun, you don't have a silence, you know, you don't have high movement. Oh, I guess you have surge, but like your movement speed being surge, like it's very predictable. You know, it's like when you're running up to go play catch with somebody, when you're running up to go vacuum wall somebody, everybody knows what you're doing. If a Darkseer's running at max movement speed into a team, like, it's obvious what he's trying to do. And it's very predictable and it's very avoidable. Compare that to somebody like Storm Spirit, who from halfway across the map can zip onto you, you being an enemy, and use like Hex or use Orchid and kill you 100-0. It's like there's no comparison. Like, Darkseer's just strictly worse at catching people. Or Sand King. Sand King's another great example. Sand King's a hero that can, like, you know, blink with an Aether Lens from like a good chunk of the map away, and then use Burrow Strike, and suddenly you're stunned for 2 seconds, right? Darkseer doesn't have that. He doesn't have those tools to play catch. So instead of playing catch, play Death Ball. That's one of the other ways in which you can play a Dota game. Instead of just playing this split push, gank, kill a bunch of heroes quickly. Kill a bunch of heroes that are in isolation, and then eventually snowball that into objectives. You can play the team fight, Death Ball, cohesive big unit style of Dota, where it's like, oh, you guys are split pushing? Well, that's fine. We're going to go take your tier 2, or we're going to go take Roche, and we're going to force the issue. Because if you guys don't fight into us, we're going to be taking over the map. And Darkseer can do that very well, because all of his abilities are super sick at teamfighting. Ion Shell, super sick at teamfighting. Vacuum, super sick at teamfighting. Especially when comboed with other heroes' abilities. Like, you know, Vacuum is the obvious wombo combo enabler. But also just comboed with Wall of Replica. You are your own teamfighter, right? You have, like, pseudo Echo Slam kind of stuff, you know? And yeah, I've always very much appreciated building that style of Darkseer, the one that just builds the big teamfight aura items and goes and fights with his team. With all that being said, we skipped over a lot of gameplay details. I just want to go back and real quick cover over that if I could. because we talked about items. We talked about this a little overcommittal that the Dark Seer and the the Dark Willow and the Snapfire committed onto me, where I popped wall, we got 2 support kills, I died, and then I TP'd back. And then neutral items for a sec, I want to briefly talk about it. I got Trusty Shovel. I also got every other neutral item for my team. I do like Keen Optic on Dark Seer. I think the cast range is pretty damn good on like extending vacuum and wall, but I wanted to give that to Ogre because I think it's especially important that our Ogre, who is our only reliable like point-click stun, right? Because Hoodwinks is a projectile. Ogre's the kind of hero, like, if he can point a stun at you, there's no projectile, you can't dodge it. As Storm Spirit, you're just going to get stunned. And I said, well, since you're, like, our only reliable long-duration stun, because Zeus's stun is similar, but it's also very, very short, it's like 0.1 seconds, I want Ogre to have that cast range. And so I just took the Trusty Shovel. It makes sense. I have a bottle. Doesn't really necessarily... doesn't mean that Trusty Shovel is the best item on Dark Seer, but if you have a bottle, Trusty Shovel is usually going to be pretty good because sometimes you're going to dig up bounty runes, and bounty runes are super good if you have a bottle. Because it's a way of refilling your bottle, obviously. And so that's what we were doing. We TP'd mid. We started walking towards bottom because we saw a fight going on there. And then also just in general, Dark Seer is a kind of hero that wants to push out the dead lane because you can do it very safely. Unfortunately, my Hoodwink went down there. Probably tanked the gank for me, so I'm fortunate for that. But yeah, we're just pushing out bottom, making sure that if they're showing heroes there, then they're showing heroes on the wrong side of the map because they're not harassing my Jug whatsoever, right? If they're down here and my Jug is farming over here and over here, then my Jug has a free game, and I like that if my Jug is having a free game. So I'll go TP mid, push that wave out, go run top with Surge, farm a creep camp in between, and then push this wave out. And this is all I'm doing. This is how you dominate on Dark Seer. Is you just keep waves shoved in. You keep so much pressure on the enemy side of the map. You're just like constantly shoving your creep waves and farming the jungle next to the side. And if enemies run at you with scary, mean faces on their looks on their faces, you just surge away and run. Right? You're super tanky. You're pretty hard to pin down. You build items that naturally make you tankier. You have a stun. You have a stun, right? You have a vacuum, which can be used to pull people on cliffs. Legitimately, like not even memeing about that, you can very easily shove people onto cliffs if they're chasing you. Run near a cliff, vacuum them onto the cliff. You're very elusive, you're escapable, and then show up to team fights if they don't want to go on you. If they don't want to apply pressure to your side of the map that you're naturally applying pressure to, shoving waves in, then just TP in to where your team is getting dove and just fight amazing team fights like this, right? Where you TP in and you just get the dream wall vacuum combo. It took a while, to be fair, because when I TP'd in, I instantly got stunned by I think it was a Terrorize. I think I TP'd in literally right as Terrorize was going. I was sad. So then they smoke ganked onto our Zeus here. I look there, he's yelling on the mic. I TP in. Terrorize, okay, Terrorize misses, but she instantly Snapfire cookies onto me, and then I get stunned. And then I'm walking forward, I'm trying to get these 3 into the vacuum. I'm like, come on, I'm so slow by this Lich Chain Frost bullshit. I walk forward and I just get the vacuum off and pop my stick. I think I still go down here. No, I don't go down. But it took me so long that Zeus ended up going down. But it's fine because we got the Storm Spirit, we got the Snapfire, that's 2 cores, and a support for 1 core. Totally worth it in my mind. And then I just got my pipe. I literally just got it, so unfortunately I wasn't able to use it in the team fight. And then lo and behold, another regen rune spawn. So I'm sitting high and mighty, survived through that fight, got a few kills to boot, still the highest net worth hero, and now we get to push mid tower down for free, and it's beautiful. Because, and I've talked about this in other videos, but mid tower is definitely mid tier 1 is the most important turret tower in the game, and we get to take theirs before they even take ours, and we're totally fine with that. Little fight breaks out here. I think I go down. I think I overextend a little bit too hard. No, I don't. I think I do now? Question mark? I'm pretty sure I do. We keep making these indecisive decisions. We're like, do we go in? Do we stay out? I get orchided here. I think I'm gonna go down. I pop my wand. Yeah, and then the Snapfire also is gonna kill me here. I pop my regen rune, unfortunately. Was not worth it. To kill a Lich for me is not worth it when I was on the monster skill spree that I was. I guess I wasn't. I died for 305 gold. Either way, it's not worth it to kill support for a core. Not in this situation. I'd rather be alive to farm, because I can farm way quicker than a Lich can. I can make more money than a Lich's life could be. But either way, overextended there. Did apply some more pressure, to be fair. Forced the Storm to TP mid instead of TPing top, which means Jug gets a super free time to farm with his Battle Fury. So in some ways, you could say that that death was worth it, because we just applied more pressure to them that is dragging them away from our Jug. But all the while, this is allowing PL to recover. So there is something to be said about how PL is able to salvage his game in addition to our Jug. In some ways, you could say this is like a battle between carries, right? Where it's 4 protect 1 versus 4 protect 1. All 4 of us, like basically our team minus Jug, is fighting against their team minus PL, and we're just trying to see, you know, which team comes ahead without their carrying, because we're both trying to make space for our carries to recover from their lane phases. The fortunate thing is that we're coming out ahead in those 4v4s, right? I'm staying alive. I'm able to kill them. Zeus is staying alive for the most part and able to kill them. Storm's their highest net worth hero, and it's by far, it's not even close to the Snapfire, right? And we're just, we're basically ricing on 2 heroes compared to their 1 core that's getting farmed, and it's not even their PL. So here I am. I'm going to walk out. I'm going to show you guys the Dark Seer solo kill prowess that I told you guys about earlier here. Pause the replay. So what you do, right, you walk over, you identify your target locked, target sighted, Dark Will is in my sights. I reapply Ion Shell to myself to make sure it's going to be full duration because I'm going to need a full duration Ion Shell for this. I'm not really going to need a full duration Ion Shell, but it's usually pretty good praxis. And then I walk out when Ion Shell's coming down. I throw the wall down, right, and we follow her. She's TPs. I don't know if she knows what Dark Seer does, but I have a spell that's non-targeted that does stun and break TPs. So I use that, and then I apply Ion Shell to her illusion, because it just came off cooldown, and then we just follow her down, right? So her illusion was critical there, because creeps aren't going to follow her. I need to create a copy of her illusion, because that's what I'm going to apply Ion Shell to, and we're going to walk her down with that Ion Shell. So apply Ion Shell to yourself, make sure it's full duration, then create the wall, apply Ion Shell to that illusion that you just created, and then just move command both you and the illusion on the enemy hero. If they try to TP, you use vacuum. If they don't try to TP, then they're either going to try to fight you, or they're going to try to run away, and in which case you have surge and vacuum to keep them in range. And that's how you solo kill people with Dark Seer. What's super cool is that after you solo kill them, you still have their illusion for another like 30 seconds. So you get to use their illusion to farm too. You can put Ion Shell on it. It can take creep camps for you, or it can push out a wave safely. Pretty cool. It's like the spoils of war beyond the kill that you got. And yeah, here we are. We're 8-2 in this mid 5k game, showing you guys how to dominate on this hero. Again, I want to stress, you can dominate on Dark Seer. So many people think that this hero is like team reliant, like coordinated team reliant. Like you need to have a coordinated 5-stack to play Dark Seer efficiently, because 2 of your abilities, in fact, no, all 4 of your abilities require perfect team synergy. Like Vacuum's only a good spell if your team knows what. Like no, that's all bullshit, dude. Don't listen to people when they tell you that Dark Seer is a hero that needs a coordinated 5-stack. Like I'm playing this hero in my pubs and having a wild amount of success with them. Let me just show you guys, actually. Level 11 on Dark Seer, my second highest Dota, what is it called? Dota Plus hero or whatever. Here's my stats. Recent stats too are important to note. 56% win rate, but this includes all the games that I played at the very, 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 very beginning of my Dota career back in 2011, 2012, when I had like a 30% win rate on this hero because I did not know how he worked. And Dota was a very different game back then too. But yeah, recent stats here, especially, like, look at all that green, dude. And these are all ranked games. Like, I don't lose on this hero. And the reason I don't lose on this hero is because I recognized, after a while of trying to make him work, that the way Dark Seer works is not from playing catch. He's just not a catch hero. He is a big space, team fighty, you know, death volley type hero, where the enemy team, if they want to kill you, they got to TP all 5 of their heroes. Look at this. All 5 of their heroes to come kill me. Look at this. Storm, PL, Lich, where's the Dark Willow? Dark Willow's here. Snapfire, there's Dark Willow's right here, and then we killed the Lich. All 5 of their heroes are in attendance right now to kill me and the Hoodwink. They get me, I think they kill Hoodwink here too. This is probably worth it from them, even though we did kill the Lich. I don't know though. It's hard to say because again, they TP'd literally everybody to kill me and we still got a return kill. And this is just so much space for like Zeus and Jug to do things. But this is kind of like what Dark Seer wants to do. I don't want to die there, obviously, but I do want to just force people to TP around the map to respond to my constant lane pressure that I'm applying. And I'm doing it hopefully safely because while they're responding to the waves that I'm pushing in, I'm farming the jungle, right? And just getting incredibly giga farmed, just getting mountainous amounts of gold. All the while. Anyways, we respawn and we don't have a clear lane to TP back into, so I run out of the map. Saving my TP here, that's like a something that I see newer players, no offense, newer players to the game don't do enough is they don't save their TPs. When they respawn, they're just like in that mindset of just autopilot in their games. Like, I need to TP back into a lane because it's Dota. Like, no, you don't always need to TP into lanes. If there's no lane that looks like a good TP spot, especially if you're a support, don't TP, just walk, you know? You'll lose out on a bit of farm, but especially if you're support, you probably shouldn't be farming anyways. And you get to save your TP, which means, say some big fight happened, say Jug runs top right now, right? We'll just full cam this. Say this Jug after farming this camp, and he's going towards top. Say he gets ganked right here by Storm and Lich, right? But he's Jug, he's tanky, right? Well, if he gets ganked right here, and I'm sitting right here farming, right? Let's say my TP's on cooldown. Like I used it to TP back into this mid wave to farm it, because I gotta TP faster, I gotta get as much farm as possible. I'm 2k, right? Well, then suddenly this Jug is just dead, because I can't TP in, right? And if Zeus doesn't have a TP, Ogre doesn't have a TP, Hoodwink, he just dies. But if we're smart, if we realize, hey, there's no lane that needs to be pushed out when we respawn, right? We don't need to TP into a lane to save farm, right? The farm's all the way out here. This is dangerous anyways. I don't want to TP down here just to run out here, farm this one wave, and then die again, right? Instead, I'll just run out to the jungle, farm, wait for this to get pushed in, and then farm it. And then I have my TP. And then if my Jug gets ganked up here, I can TP top and run over here and pipe him, right? Use my pipe and my mech and my surge and my vacuum wall, right? And then I can save his life. So yeah, save your TPs. That's a general, I shouldn't even say offlane strategy. This is just like general Dota practice. Don't waste your TPs if you don't need to. TP should be reserved, especially if you're a support. You should just like very, very hesitant to use your TP, because your TP is like your team's lifeline. They need you to be able to have your TP to save them. Should a smoke gank arise, or should like a hero pick up an invis rune and do something crazy. But if you're a core, you should still be reserved about your TP usage. You know, using it for farm can be okay, but only if that farm, in my opinion, is like pushed into the tower and there's like a double or a triple creep wave that's threatening your tower's life if you don't if you don't TP into that lane. Especially if there's a catapult with it, then it's like, okay, we need to actually TP there, otherwise the creep wave alone will kill the tower. But anyways, I want to rewind here because it's not actually the Jug that gets ganked, it's myself. So I run mid, right, on my respawn from the earlier play that we made a play over here, we died, and then we respawn and we run mid. And then when we run mid, right, my goal here in the mid lane as Dark Seer, when my Jug is still ricing, when my Jug is still farming with his Battle Fury because he wants to have Manta Style before he fights because the Storm has Orchid, completely understandable. My job when this happens is to take the most dangerous and assertive farm on the map, all right? Because I recognize, hey, I'm very tanky. I have a mechanism. I have a pipe. I have 15 base armor. I have a 17 charge stick, right? I have a buckler. Like, I am a super I have a pupil's gift, which is giving me 13 extra strength. I have 2k HP. Well, I have 1.8k HP, 15 armor, and effectively like 2.6k HP between pipe and mech if I use them correctly, and you know, almost 3k HP with wand. Like, I'm a super tanky hero. So I want to use those, I want to leverage those stats effectively, right? Because what I don't have is a Battle Fury. What I don't have is a passive critical strike. Like, I don't need to take ancient creep wave, or I don't need to take all this safe farm on the map that translates me into getting super farmed like Jug does, because I'm not going to carry this game. Instead, well, I will carry this game, but the way in which I'll carry this game is different. I'm going to carry this game by making space for my actual carries, for my right-click carries to carry. And the way that I make space is I take super dangerous farm, right? I'm going to still get farm because I'm going to kill these creep waves and I'm going to get farmed off of them, right? I respawned like 2-3 minutes ago. I've been getting farm. I'm obviously still getting farm, but I'm getting dangerous farm. So I'm naturally going to attract heroes into my lane, right? Because I'm in mid, right? Mid is the easiest lane to gank from, because no matter where you are on the map, you have a pathway into mid, right? I'm not taking top farm right now where only one hero is. I'm farming mid, every hero's around mid, and they naturally want to set up ganks on mid because it's so easy to gank, right? So I'm making myself a target. I'm putting a big old red X on my face and saying, hey, come gank me. And so Snapfire obliges. She's like, okay, yeah, I'll come gank you. I'll use my axe, I'll drop a stun on your ass. Dark Willow's gonna follow up with a stun. And then here we go. We get to see everything that I was building for come into fruition. I pop my pipe, pop my mech, and then boom, I just ate Dark Willow's Terrorize, which is a 100-second cooldown ability, 90-second cooldown ability, and Snapfire's Gobble Up, 40-second cooldown ability, and some mana. And I'm totally fine. I'm full HP, right? My team, now, to be fair, my team, I don't want to say they're making a mistake, because they're not. My team does have to commit to this, right? My team has to be around. Otherwise, if they aren't around, then the enemy team can literally just go on me as 5 heroes and kill me for free. So I tell my team that. I say to my team preemptively, I'm like, hey guys, I'm going to go take some dangerous farm mid, right? I'm going to go push out mid. When I'm there, if you guys sit behind me, I'm sure we can take a good team fight. And the reason that rule applies is because I'm super tanky and they have to commit multiple long cooldown spells to just kill me if they want to even kill me. And even then, they might not kill me because I'm so tanky that through them comboing all of these spells on me, my team gets to just take the perfect fight of their life. Because when heroes use spells on a target, you naturally set up your team to have a good team fight, right? If you put this is why Underlord is such an obstructive hero in pubs, is because he walks forward, he's so tanky, he's got a bunch of HP, right? He's got a big target on his head. Same thing with Bristleback. And people tunnel vision and want to cast spells on that hero, on that Underlord hero, on that Dark Seer hero in this case, or that Bristleback hero in this case, not in this case, in other cases, that when all of these heroes are, when these heroes are getting focused in team fights, the enemy has to be in range to cast those spells on those targets, right? And so if you're going to sit here and use Terrorize as Dark Willow or Gobble Up, although these are pretty bad examples because these spells actually have very long cast ranges, but use a hero like Lich, right? Sinister Gaze has a pretty short range. If Lich wants to Sinister Gaze Dark Seer, me in this case, to kill me, he has to be super close to use it, and Lich is a frail hero. So if Lich comes up to Sinister Gaze me, right, then my team gets to just snipe that Lich because they see where he is. He has to show to use his spells on me, and I'm tanky. I'm not going to die just to Lich's Focus Fire or even Lich Snapfire Dark Willow. So I'm presenting myself in a super I'm putting myself in precarious situations intentionally and presenting myself as a very gankable hero so that my team naturally gets to have a super good team fight. And I'm just going to say this right now. There are some games where this is really good to do as Dark Seer, and there are other games where this is really bad to do as Dark Seer. And you need to know, as the Dark Seer player, you need to be able to say, hey, what games can I play frontline and what games do I not get to play frontline? Because Dark Seer can be a very poo-poo hero if you get focused early on in a team fight, you get chain stunned and killed before you get vacuum wall off, right? And even if you don't, even if you do die when you get vacuum wall off, you don't want to die in those situations because Dark Seer has very low cooldown abilities on Surge and Ion Shell. You want to stay, you're core, right? You don't want to just die. You don't want to just walk in Ravage and be like, well, my most important ability has been used. You guys can kill me now if you want. You are a valuable asset to your team. And if nothing else, that's true just because you carry auras, right? I do carry Mech Aura. Mech Aura is not as good as Guardian Greaves Aura, but I go Guardian Greaves anyways. And Pipe Aura is very useful. You do have very powerful auras. And three, because Vacuum has a low enough cooldown, you can get Vacuum off twice in a fight. You have three very powerful basic abilities that you want to use throughout the course of a fight. So you don't want to die. But sometimes you can't die, or for you to die requires the enemy team to invest so much resources into killing you that you're okay taking that death because they just lose the fight and lose all 5 for 1. So knowing when you need to play sort of a backline supporty type where it's okay, my Clockwork can go in, or my Spirit Breaker can go in, or my Juggernaut can go in. Knowing those games apart from these games where it's okay, they can't kill me right now until PL gets a basher or something, or Storm gets Storm gets until Storm gets level 20 or level 25 and gets another item, they can't kill me. They cannot reasonably kill me in an expedient manner. So I get to just play super aggressively on the map. This is also catapulted by the fact that I'm 8-3. Make no mistake about that. The fact that I am level 15 and then I'm having a very good game and then I'm super fat also plays into that fact. But yeah, the biggest thing is just that I have Pipe, I have Guardian Greaves, I'm super tanky. Storm's going to commit all of his, he's going to commit, Orchid, he's going to commit the bulk of his mana pool to getting me half HP, and then I'm going to get Mortimer's Kissed here. I'm going to pop Greaves. I've got Pipe up in 2 seconds. Unfortunately, I used Pipe earlier when they were going on me, and Pipe's cooldown is still not down. And then I get stunned, and then I get feared, and then I get fucking Sinister Gazed, so I never get to use my Pipe. And then we actually end up taking a pretty iffy fight here, all things considered, mostly just because I didn't have Pipe up. And what you just saw was me playing essentially frontline for my team, and I think the biggest reason we lost that fight, I'm trying to remember why we actually lost that fight. Because I remember this fight, I remember thinking to myself in this fight, I was like, man, I haven't been able to play or push a single button this entire team fight. My team should just be able to play with impunity. Because watch this committal here, right? Again, I want to stress. I get jumped on, orchided. So Storm's literally, the entirety of Storm Spirit has been invested in committing onto the Dark Seer, right? I think it's because my Ogre Magi and my Zeus are, that's probably the reason, is because these guys aren't actually able to. So Storm is actually, he's committing everything onto me, but I have 2 heroes right here not actually contributing anything to the team fight. So Storm's actually making an insane amount of space for for their team. And also Jug hasn't arrived at the fight yet. This is probably the reason that we're losing the fight, is that Hoodwink gets caught, I guess you could say, or rather dies without these two people doing anything significant. I just get completely focused down here. These guys literally do nothing. Ogre Magi has yet to cast a single spell. Finally stuns. It's a non-multicast stun on a low priority target. I'm walking away. I get stunned here before getting my pipe off. I had a half a second to get pipe off there. That's very unfortunate, because if I got pipe off, I might have lived. Nah, probably not, though, because here's PL coming in to hit me. And then Jug arriving at the fight, but too little too late. And then he just spin TPs out. This is correct for him to spin TP out. And Ogre Magi got the TP out as well. So it wasn't as bad of a fight as it could have been, but it's still a pretty bad fight. Like, we still lost 3 for nothing, right? And that's not great. Although, that's right. Since I did get wall off and the wall got... I got the wall off from PL's illusion, my PL illusion just showing... This just goes to show how powerful Dark Seer is against PL. And that if you're an offlane player and you're, like, upset with Phantom Lancer in your games, you can always pick Dark Seer and have a good game against Phantom Lancer pickers. I run back, and I'm like, dude, like, I'm getting stunned, I'm getting chain stunned, I can't push a single button. Turn around, just get my wall off. Phantom Lancer walks back into it because Jug's spinning. Spawns an illusion for me, and nobody cares about, like, illusions, I guess. And so I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna kill your Lich. And then I get a free kill on Lich. So it wasn't 3 for 0, it was 3 for 1. But either way, bad fight, bad fight. Showing you guys how to dominate on Dark Seer. I mean, I gotta show you guys how to lose on Dark Seer to some extent too, right? Okay, we didn't lose though. And this isn't how to lose, right? That's just how to take a bad fight. You'll notice, by the way, that even though I got my Pupil's Gift, like my upgraded neutral item, I'm keeping my Trusty Shovel in my backpack, because Trusty Shovel's a really good item. You should keep it on your hero. At least one of your heroes on your team should keep it at all times, because the possibility to dig up bounty runes and salves, and honestly TP scrolls, is just too good. Like, those are just, it's free net worth that you're getting. I TP in here and literally save this ogre's life, you'll see here. TP in, pop pipe, pop mech, get him out of kill range. Then I chase them down to scare them here, vacuum them. Lich, I wonder if I forced a TP. I did force a TP. So, okay, I was glad about that. I knew I couldn't kill anybody here, right? Because that's not what... Dark Seer doesn't walk in and kill you with vacuum. And I mean, I didn't even have a wall up. There was no threat of me killing either of them there. But I was like, I bet if I run up and vacuum them, I bet I will scare a TP out of them and try to make some space here. So, I did. So Dark Willow TP's mid instead of bottom to kill my Jug. So maybe I just saved Jug's life. Who knows? But either way. So yeah, took that bad fight, TP back mid, trying to farm out, trying to do the exact same thing that I was doing earlier, honestly. Just take dangerous farm, try to assert myself on the map. I buy a casual cloak here, even though I have a pipe, and the reason for that is because if you look at their team, right, they have magic damage hero, magic damage hero, magic damage hero, magic damage hero. Of course, Storm Spirit does right click, so he does do a fair amount of physical damage, but, you know, the bulk of that hero is magic damage, so... Get a bunch of magic getting a pipe, getting a cloak, getting all this magic damage resistance keeps me alive here, for instance, right? Look at how little damage I'm taking from all of their spells. Storm Spirit committing all of his resources onto me, including Orchid. Lich committing ulti, right? The Lich ulted me. And the Snapfire used an entire Mortimer Kisses on me, and I still did not die. Like, honestly, can you think of a better pick here than Dark Seer? Because I'm this hero that's so tanky innately with my armor and my health pool, right? 3.1 strength gain. And then I get to build items like pipe and cloak and not have it affect me in any way, shape, or form. I'm not an initiator. I'm not a Mars, you know? I don't need to build a Blink Dagger or a Yule Scepter to be useful and to be effective, right? My hero can be useful through casting these two abilities on my carries and through casting these two abilities on their heroes. Like, I don't need a Blink Dagger for that. And so I survive. We take 3 of their heroes down due to their overcommittal, and then we just push their tier 2. And this is another benefit of building these teamfight items, is that Guardian Greaves, in addition to being a very powerful teamfight item, is also just a very good sustain item. Sustains pushes, sustains your heroes. Storm Spirit gets an insane zip there and just like literally 100 zeros my Hoodwink. So that's very unfortunate. But you're seeing the benefit of keeping Trusty Shovel is I get to dig up salves and just salve up my supports. So now, instead of being at, 50%, 40% HP, Ogre Magi is at full. So that's a little microman. I mean, that tip applies to anybody. It doesn't matter if you're playing Dark Seer or whatnot. And then we go set up for Roche, because Jug's also a hero that sustains really well, right? Healing Ward is amazing. One of the best carry abilities in the game. Changed my mind. It's so insane that that ability exists on Juggernaut, on a core. And then with Aegis, we're trying to push. Again, Dark Seer super good at deathballing because I get to put Ion Shell in this guy and surge him in the middle of team fights, and his possibilities are limitless. The way you should read your life as a Dark Seer is like a free haste rune for a carry. Because that's kind of what it is, right? It's a 7-second cooldown ability that lasts 6 seconds. With an arcane rune active. To be fair, it normally has a 10-second cooldown. But with items like Octarine or items like Spell Prism or Recovery Charm, you can even mitigate that. So it's not like cooldown reduction is bad to get on Dark Seer. But the important thing is that with Surge as an ability, you can keep people. You can give them a haste rune, right? You can give them quite literally a haste rune. It's not as long as a haste rune, but it has the same effect. It makes them hasted, like it makes them move at max movement speed, and they can't be slowed. And there are so many heroes that is just such a powerful effect to put on people. Especially later on, especially the cannot be slowed portion of this ability. Just makes so many heroes like Lich significantly worse, right? Lich is a hero that does have a stun, to be fair. And I don't know what they're doing, by the way. I think they didn't entirely give up. They're still playing, but Snapfire's kind of memeing here a little bit. But like Lich does have Sinister Gaze, which is a powerful ability, but it's channeled, so it puts Lich in a very precarious situation when he uses this on people. The bulk of Lich's CC in a team fight is typically felt through his slows, right? Because every one of his abilities besides Sinister Gaze applies a slow, right? Frost Blast applies a slow. Applies a slow as well here on Frost Shield. Chain Frost applies a slow, 65% movement speed slow. You can mitigate all of those slows with Dark Seer, and that's why I love picking this hero into heroes like Lich. Willow, same thing, right? Willow doesn't have slows, she has stuns, but Dark Seer is such a natural Greaves and Lotus Orb builder, and you don't need to feel bad about building those items like you do on a hero like Mars, right? Hero like Mars, you want to build like Blink, you want to build Yules, you know, you might want to build Ags, you want to build these items that just make you, that enable you rather to get good ultis off, because a lot of your hero's usefulness and impact is felt through your ability to get a big ulti off. Dark Seer, not so much. Like, I can just shell and surge people in team fights, and at that point, who even cares if I'm hitting a sick-ass vacuum or you know, a sick-ass vacuum wall on 5 heroes? Like, you know, if I'm against a Drow Ranger, for instance, the only person that matters in the entire game to hit wall on is that Drow Ranger. So I don't even care too much about hitting a big, impactful wall of replica on all 5 of your teammates. I just care about hitting her with it. And on top of that, Dark Seer's Wall of Replica has a significantly longer cast range than Mars' ulti, right? Such that you don't need to rush a Blink Dagger to be effective on this hero, or an item like Eul Scepter to set this ability up. Like, you will naturally hit very, very good and easy to hit Wall of Replicas with Dark Seer, just through just through sheer castability of the ability over a spell like Arena of Blood. So yeah, that's why I'm not saying you shouldn't build Blink Dagger on Dark Seer. There's a game for, honestly, there's a game for every item, but there's especially a game for Blink Dagger on Dark Seer, don't get me wrong. And here we're gonna get popped, because my pipe wasn't up. Partially because my pipe wasn't up. Also because we overextended there on these creep waves. One of the perks of playing Storm Spirit is that, and yeah, this is, if it's not evident by now, part of their team is trolling. Snapfire is definitely griefing the shit out of this Willow. I think they're having some internal problems, but they still continue to try. So I think this replay can be useful to look through, or can be useful to look through. And I should actually be commentating this too. But I'm just trying to talk about Dark Seer as a hero in a general sense, because I think what we're unearthing here, what we're discovering, if you will, is the usefulness and viability of a hero like Dark Seer outside of just in a coordinated 5-stack, right? Because nobody in their right mind would criticize, well, some people would. Many people consider Dark Seer, a hero like Undying, to be a powerful support, right? Even though he does lack a stun, he is still a hero that facilitates death balls really well. He has a heal, right? He has an ability that just amplifies all of your other teammates' abilities, right? In the form of his Flesh Golem if he hits you with it. And he has a big team fight ulti, right? Sort of, with Tombstone. Tombstone's on ultimate, but it's still a big team fight ability. Well, everything I just listed off applies to Dark Seer as well, right? You have 2 abilities that amplify your team's ability to fight very, very well through Ion Shell and Surge, right? Kind of similar to Flesh Golem's damage amp. You have a big team fight ulti through Wall of Replica and Vacuum, right? You have a big team fight ulti in Vacuum alone. Vacuum is a big team fight ulti. It's not an ultimate, but it has a long cooldown-ish, like a long-ish cooldown, in the sense that you're going to get like 1 or 2 of them off in a fight at most. And it's just a big ability, just sucks everybody and sets up so many other abilities rather well. It's a stun, so it does break TPs and whatnot. and you have a heal, right? In the sense that you naturally build regen items like bottle, right? But mostly like guardian greaves, like you build all these items that are just very, that make your team durable, make your team sustainable, right? And you just want to group up. Like in that sense, Dark Seer is very similar to a hero like Undying. But let's talk about this team fight. So we're sieging here. I think our Jug still has Aegis, he does. And all we should be doing here, if we're being honest, is just letting Jug hit this tower. And Jug should be the only person even remotely close to it. Instead, Zeus decides, and I don't know why, but he decides to TP in on this catapult while the enemy glyphed their creep wave. So when he TPs in, I'm like, okay, well, I'll glyph this catapult so that you can TP in because the catapult was about to die. I still don't know why he TP'd in here. So he TP's in, he gets Sinister Gazed, and now suddenly our Lich is getting caught in the worst way possible. He gets popped, and then this team fight is bad, because I popped wall down, and I was like, well shit, my Lich is dying, I need to save my Lich, so I'm gonna pop a wall down and try to fight, and I'm not able to get a good wall down. And now we're without our Zeus, we're without our wall of replica, and we just need to run away. And for some reason we don't. I know the reason we don't. The reason we don't is we still feel confident, because their team is griefing, right? We have Jug Aegis, and we feel very powerful. But this is very bad. Everything that's about to happen here is very bad. Willow comes back. She instantly TPs because the Snapfire is griefing her. But then our Jug is getting gone on. And it's like, cool, we got the Willow, I guess. But like, look at what this leaves for the rest of us. I'm going to get focused down by PL. I think I die here. I'm like 80% sure I die here, yeah. And then their team just gets to play cleanup. Jug spin TP's out. Luckily, he gets to actually get it off. Like, if he didn't get spin TP off there, that would have been very scary. Because then he would have lost Aegis, and then his TP'd be on cooldown, and he'd surely die from there. So, yeah. Not the worst result by any stretch of the imagination, but definitely not the best. But we kept Jug Aegis. Just really unfortunate that Zeus had to TP into that catapult there. But I digress from that, because that's not the important part. The important part is that we are still able to maintain the map pressure that we have, right? We're controlling mid-game power runes. That's another very important thing that I stress, is that in my style of play, you will notice that, like, I never give up on the usefulness of power runes. Power runes are very, very powerful all throughout the game. Doesn't matter if it's first 10 minutes, doesn't matter if it's first 15 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever, okay? Late game, picking up a DD can quite literally double your hero. I mean, it does, it's called double damage rune for a reason. It doubles your any hero's damage. For a carry, it can be a free Divine Rapier, essentially, right? DDs are very powerful late game, Illusion runes are very powerful late game, Haste runes are very powerful late game, Invis runes are very powerful late game, Arcane runes are very powerful late game. Every single power rune scales, right? None of them become useless. And so that's what the first thing I did when I respawned was like, I'm gonna go check a power rune, because that's something that you can do on the map when nothing is happening on the map. And actually, just in general, being able to do things on the map when you don't think you have anything to do is a very powerful thing to be able to do, or rather recognize as a Dota player, right? Saying to yourself, oh, I'm a 4 position, I'm a 5 position, I'm not supposed to be taking farm, so I don't know what to do when there's nothing to do, right? Should I just keep forcing my team to smoke gank with me and wondering why it never works out? No, right? What you should be doing, and what I'm not doing here, unfortunately, what you should be doing is running around the map and trying to find things to do. So patrolling bounty runes, patrolling power runes. Those are two very powerful things that scale with the game clock, right? At 32 minutes, if you pick up a DD or a haste rune, double damage rune on Storm Spirit, he just picked up a DD in the middle of a team fight. 32 minutes in the game, his damage is just doubled, right? He's now hitting for 400 damage almost. He is now like a drawer. He's now a range damage, like a range carry, even more so than he was previously. But I digress from that point. Let's go over this team fight for a second. So I'm running top, and then suddenly their team, I think, smoke ganks onto our hoodwink. Let me free camera this. I think she's too far out. Seems like she was pushing out too far there. So we kind of split up here, and hoodwink gets the idea that she wants to push out mid, and their team does smoke gank. So she gets gobbled up, thrown on, but the throw misses. Storm Spirit goes past, and then she gets blown up again. Always going to be an easy target to blow up, that hoodwink. And then Jug Omni slashes, but unfortunately into a Yule's. And has to commit so much just to kill a Dark Willow. Sucks that this fight looks bad. But then, meanwhile, Dark Seer in the back here. I TP into tier 2, as my team's getting gone on. Surge myself, run forward. Heals back here, and I'm like, you know what? This is a perfect target, because if I wall him, I think the fight's over. So I vacuum wall, I get the Storm Spirit too, and now I have a PL illusion. And the PL illusion can literally just kill the PL. I'm not even joking. I just send the PL illusion on the PL, and the PL has to run away, because my illusion's full HP, and he is not full HP. And then I'm like, okay, well I can just say still Lich with it too. And then the... you know, the Snapfire as the Sun, it's incredibly powerful. Again, I want to stress, this Dark Seer hero is insane against Phantom Lancer, or Naga Siren, or any of those heroes that like to build stats over actual, like, I shouldn't say actual, any hero that likes to build stat-based items. You know, like, Diffusal Blade gives 20 agi, you know, Mana Style gives 26 agi, Phantom Rush as an ability gives 44 agi. You know, all these abilities, this ability, and these two items that give raw stats are just perfect for your illusions that you will be creating with them. So the enemy team decides to smoke again. I'm finishing up my Lotus Orb by farming Ancients, because this hero can farm Ancients now. The Ancients actually take magic damage. They smoke into Roche. I get gone on, but thankfully, I'm Dark Seer, the tankiest hero on the Eastern... I was going to talk about like the Eastern Hemisphere. I am Dark Seer, the tankiest hero in the Eastern Hemisphere. So I run forward, I see them. Vacuum, I run back, I get gone on. That's okay. This Jug finally gets to blow up the Willow the way that he should have been. And then their Lich is out of position too. So we almost kill him. Hoodwink kills him. And then I'm just not dying. At least I'm not dying quickly. PL gets to go on me here and drains all my mana and does eventually kill me. But it's so much of a committal on their part that we get to kill the PL now. I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we get to kill the PL. And the Storm gets away because our Jug unfortunately does not bash his face. But then the PL dies, and the Storm TP's out. But he doesn't TP out. Where's my camera on? Holy shit. Oh, he does TP out right there. And then I say in all chat, you will learn one day that you can't go on me. Because I can't, dude. Too tanky and too difficult to bring down. My team takes it for ages. And from here, it's just kind of GG. Of course, there is another fight, and the Storm is going to continue pushing out our creep waves. But it's just incredibly difficult for them to come back from the immense amount of net worth that we've built up on our Jug compared to their PL, right? He's a full 7k gold ahead of the PL. It's just like, it's not comparable, right? The difference in net worth. It's a full item and a half. This is not even to mention the fact that I am essentially a PL in a team fight. Right, that I create another PL, that I create another carry, really. Because everything that's useful about Phantom Lancer can be felt by my illusion. My illusion carries juxtaposed, right? I don't create Doppelganger or Spirit Lance, to be fair. So, like, Phantom Lancer can kill my illusion in a one-on-one fight, but as Dark Seer, I create an illusion that does 125% damage. And so when I copy Phantom Lancer, right, and I create the Phantom Lancer illusion, and the Phantom Lancer illusion runs around and creates a bunch of illusions itself, and I create my own little Phantom Lancer army, like, I am creating, essentially, another carry. And so the game becomes, like, kind of like 6v5 in some ways. And so, you know, on the one hand, it's like, yeah, we have a Jug that has a monstrous net worth advantage over their PL, and it's like, Wire, that's GG just right there. But it's like, on the other hand, it's like, even if that wasn't GG, even if the net worth charts were a little bit more, I guess you could say, constricted between the PL and the Jug, we would still be looking at a very advantageous position in this game. Because, like, Jesus, just look at this ability and look at the talent, you know? I create another Phantom Lancer. Now, Storm Spirit is being annoying by killing our creep wave. And it is going to stall out this game. Because backdoor protection is eventually going to kick in, and Storm Spirit just he keeps cutting creep waves back here, so like we're never going to have a creep wave, and so we just TP away. And we're like, okay, we'll come back again. But it doesn't really matter because again, Phantom Lancer just can't farm. He's still dead. The net worth disparity is only growing. I finished up my Lotus, so now we don't need to worry nearly as much about like basically everything that Dark Willow does and some of the things that Lich does. And we're getting our neutral items. They are not because they can't actually farm. Like, there are disadvantages to turtling in Dota 2, and those disadvantages have become significantly worse over with time, with the advent of things like neutral items. It's just so difficult for the enemy team to come back at this point, essentially. We get to control power runes. That's another thing I got to pick up an illusion rune, and we finally we say to ourselves, okay, like if Storm Spirit's going to do this thing, then all we need to do is push multiple waves at the same time. And so we push out mid. I send an illusion top with an Ion Shell, so we can push out top. I am not doing it right now because there's no team fight because I had to sick us back in wall. all their waves are pushing in. We kill the Snapfire, Lich buys back. I have a wall in a pristine situation. That wall, by the way, I did not know this, but when Storm zips through it, it actually still creates a Storm Illusion. So now I have a Storm Illusion. Storm Illusion, to be fair, does not do that much damage. Or at least I should say it doesn't do as much damage as a PL Illusion. But it still does damage. It does 250 damage. It's respectable. Unless she sees for a long time. Oh, I think I have it paused. My bad. We'll come back. And yeah, just we take rags. Everybody's fine. As you can say, it's just kind of GG from here. But yeah. Main takeaways from this game, as we're finishing it up, are as follows. First of all, Dark Seer wants to win the lane that he's in. Never forget that. Don't let people tell you otherwise. Dark Seer wants to win his lane. Don't let people tell you otherwise, okay? Don't go into a game and think, oh, I'm picking Dark Seer, I'm just AFK farming and trading farm with the enemy carry. No. Skill vacuum at level 2. Try it if you've never done it before. Don't do it every game, but in many games it's worth it. And just kill the enemy carry, right? Tell your 4, communicate with your 4, say, hey, I got Ion Shell on myself, I'm going to put Ion Shell on you, and we're just going to run him down. I'm going to vacuum him, and if it's a clockwork, you know, you're going to push your W spell when I vacuum him, and then we're going to trap him and kill him, right? Or if it's an Earth Spirit, just tell him to roll in, right? Like, just the point is, be aggressive on this hero, because this hero can win the lane that he's in, and he wants to do that. He doesn't just want to trade farm. Second point is skill ulti at level 6 if you think you can get a kill with it. And chances are, if you don't think you can, you probably can get a kill with ulti at level 6. Wall of Illusion is a very powerful ability. Just respect the ability, right? And consider skilling it at level 6. I don't do it in every single game, but I try to do it. If I'm not doing it, it's probably because something went wrong, rather than being indicative of something going right. Another point is recognize your role in the game, and as Dark Seer, your role is very rarely to go make picks. Dark Seer wants to split, I shouldn't say split. Dark Seer wants to apply pressure to the map via split pushing and farming, right? The pressure that you apply is in the net worth advantage that you gain and convert into very, very stat and gold efficient items, right? Items like Pipe, which just give your team so many free stats, give your team 10% magic resistance for free, and effectively 400 bonus HP to every hero on your team, against most team comps, right? Against Shadow Fiends, against Liches, against Dark Willows, against Storm Spirits, against Snapfires, against, you know, so many heroes in the game, like Venomancers, against Zeuses, against Ember Spirits. The list goes on. Pucks, right? Queen of Pains, Death Prophets even. Viper does a lot of magic damage. There's so many heroes. Sand Kings, there's so many heroes in the game that does magic damage. That do magic damage, such that Pipe ends up being a very gold efficient healing item, essentially, like healing item in air quotes, right? Same thing with Mech. Same thing with I should especially say same thing with Greaves, right? Greaves, very, very gold efficient items if you can get it, right? Gives your team 300 HP, 200 mana. Doesn't cost any mana to cast, right? Unlike Mech. So it's literally free. It has a shorter cooldown than Mech. Gives you a basic dispel, which is really good against heroes like Storm Spirit, heroes like Dark Willow, heroes like Lich, any hero really that wants to apply a slow or a silence to you. It's very, very, very powerful against silencers, by the way. Guardian Ore, by the way, very, very underrated, but very broken, right? Gives your team 16 health regen and 10 armor if they drop below 20% HP. I'm thinking about your carry in specificity. Your carry against their carry, right? If your carry drops to, like, say, for instance, 400 HP, right? And they have 2k HP or 2.5k HP, then suddenly they just get 10 armor for free and 16 health regen, right? And it's just insane. No, sorry. They receive 16 health and 10 armor. So that's actually, they don't just get 10 armor, they get 13 armor total from the Guardian Ore, because the Guardian Ore gives them 3 armor, and then they get an additional 10 armor. So yeah, just very, very gold efficient items like this. Keeps your team alive. Make sure that your team stays safe when you're grouping up to push. And again, that is the role of Dark Seer, is not to be some, you're not some like split, you do split push, but you don't like isolate the enemy team like a Legion commander does and look for solo pickoffs. Or like a Furion or like a Storm Spirit. Like, I mean, even Furion can play this style. But what I'm trying to say is you're not a Legion commander. You're not a Storm Spirit. You're not trying to go pick people off and gank, right? You're trying to team fight and split push and death ball. And the way you do that is in the early game, dominating the lane, or at least trying to get as much out of the lane as possible, and then ricing, right? Farming a crap ton to get these very, very powerful big items that enable you to group with your team, take objectives, and force the issue. And then when you're doing that, make sure that you're staying alive, right? Recognize your role in team fights. Recognize, hey, I'm tanky, right? But I'm not tanky enough to sustain all of their damage. So I need to back off, right? I need to be alive to cast my pipe, to cast my mech, and keep my team alive. Or, right, alternatively, if it's in the mid game and you are tanky enough to tank their shit, then say, hey, my team would really benefit if I was the hero that showed on the map right now. If I was the hero that presented and postured myself forward and let the enemy cast all of their spells on me, right? Then my team gets to naturally take a very good team fight because all of the enemy team is initiating on my hero. And so I just get to, I get to sit back and kind of let my team carry me in that sense. And then you're carrying them by being the bait, by being the target that shows and forces the issue of the enemy's spells. So yeah, that's kind of how you play Dark Seer in a nutshell, how you dominate with Dark Seer in the offlane in a nutshell. Let me know what you guys think of the video format and just in general of the guide. But yeah, I love you all. Take care. Stay safe. Have a good night.